Hey everyone, welcome to our Advent Member Talks. My name is Sam, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm the Member Experience Manager here at Advent Coworking. We are a creative co-working community, event space, podcast studio, wellness center, art gallery, so many things, but most importantly, we're a community. And our weekly event gives our members the opportunity to share their skills, their knowledge, their experience, not only with fellow Advent members, but also with the greater Charlotte entrepreneurial community. So I'm really excited today. We have one of our original members, Kevin, who's the founder and owner of Advent Coworking. So a little different, not technically a member, but I'm really excited to have Kevin on with us, and he's going to be speaking on the importance of self-reflection as an entrepreneur. So I'm going to hand it over to Kevin, but please do ask any questions that you have. Just type them into the comments, and we'll have a short Q&A at the end. All right, Kevin.
Awesome, Sam. Thank you. Hello, everybody. You all are going to be my therapist today, so thank you in advance for listening. When I began Advent, I didn't have much awareness as to how I was actually spending my days. I would go at every day full steam ahead and give it my all to see Advent succeed. I poured everything, every waking moment of my life into Advent. I didn't set barriers, I didn't set goals, I didn't set limits. Essentially, the more opportunities that I had each day, the more coffee meetings, the more events I could attend, the more sales we could make, the more people I could talk to, and meant a better chance of Advent growing, ultimately being more successful. And I didn't realize this, but I had migrated the same mindset that I formed early on in schooling. Work hard, no matter what. I was never actually naturally that smart. I blame that on multiple bicycle accidents as a child. I had to work at it a lot and study a lot. But I spent majority of my waking hours in college focusing on essentially getting my undergraduate and master's engineering degree in a 6-year window. I didn't have any time for anything else. Now, I did leave Friday and Saturday evenings for relaxing and partying, but there wasn't much time for anything else outside of that. And it was actually a really easy life to go through. It was simple priorities, simple to focus. School came first, and everything else at best came second. And unfortunately, this included my relationship, not my marriage, my friends, my family, and my hobbies. This mindset from college carried over into my corporate America job, and then from there into Advent. I did my best to keep my relationships and hobbies going and alive and all that, but they were always really just an afterthought as opposed to my work or Advent. My marriage, my friends, my well-being, it really did suffer immensely. I remember my wife saying to me, you don't have to treat your corporate job like college work all the time. It's 7:45 on a Tuesday, stop working and let's eat dinner. And that stuck with me. That was over 9 years ago when we first moved to Charlotte in the Plaza Midwood. And I fear I went into my marriage not really knowing who I was. And everything up to that point drove and defined me. I never really questioned it. And that's fine. It's not like the end of the world. Plenty of people go through life that way and are happy, and it's not an issue. And I do truly believe that spurts of this level of intention and dedication are required to really achieve those goals that you're set out to do. But for me, this mode of living every day like this was not sustainable or healthy. I don't know if Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or Albert Einstein were or are happy. And I don't want to get into what happiness truly means and this definition of self and feeling and all this. But I think it's safe to assume that if you're happy, that's a positive thing. I'm just going to stick with that for now. And there really wasn't like a critical moment in my life that I can recall when I decided to acknowledge how I was going about my day-to-day. But I do recall coming back from Mongolia in late 2016. It was about 1 year after we opened up Advent. I was reading this book, Manage Your Day-to-Day. Build your routine, find your focus, and sharpen your creative mind. I don't know where I found this book, but it was $5 on Amazon. It was pretty. It had a big font. And man, it blew me away. It's an awesome book. The idea of setting limits around when I look at my email, removing notifications from all my electronics, time boxing how I live my life, building creative habits in my day-to-day routines, at the time I was like, what the fuck is a routine? Like I was so disconnected from even acknowledging how I woke up and went to sleep and everything in between in a given day. I was really lost. And so this book, and then from there, a series of many others, sent me down this path of self-reflecting how I manage every day. I forced myself to take a really hard look at my life's priorities, which wasn't fun. Equally, just not as fun, if not worse. I accepted the fact that I will die someday. And I assessed how I spent every waking moment to break the cycle that I was in. So self-reflection has not only helped with day-to-day management, but it really helped with my relationship and life management. Now I'm still very much evolving, and this is an ongoing day-to-day practice. But if I didn't change the course that I was on, man, I would be absolutely miserable today. I don't even know where else I would be. And a really important piece I learned along the way is being successful does not directly translate to being happy. They're not one and the same. One does not lead to the other. Now, there are, fortunately, now in this day of age, there's a ton of tactics and guides and methods and books that you can read and practice and perform to essentially manage your life and be aware of what you're doing better. And I'm going to share, for the sake of time, and you all not listening to me babble for the next 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I'm going to share one. I'm going to have, man, work from home is really fun when your dogs are barking the whole time. I'm sorry. 1 second. Lucy, please be quiet. Anyway, real professional around here, guys. Thank you for your patience with me. So, okay, the single most important part of all this self-reflecting. Are you ready? You ready? Are you sure? To do my best to be fully present in whatever activity I was doing, also known as mindfulness. It's really hard for me to try to take control of my life when I was used to being in the matrix. You know, I think sometimes ignorance was bliss. I enjoyed the taste of steak and knowing that it might have been not really being steak, and it was okay with that. But just being aware I was obsessively checking my email, let alone to change a habit, took mindfulness. How do you get mindfulness? Meditation is the answer. And if you know me, you're probably sick of me by now because I probably mentioned that at least once in our relationship. And meditation is the act of practicing mindfulness. Now, this is not an official documented answer or official documented definition. I'm no guru. I hope Buddha isn't too upset with me. It's not very Zen, but this is how I interpret meditating and mindfulness and how I connect them. And the more that I practice meditating every day, the more that I was aware of my life, the more mindful each day became. I was aware of what I was doing, first off. I was aware of how I actually feel. I was aware of how other people feel. Empathy, gasp. Very difficult for me to have empathy, and man, has it helped. Meditation significantly reduced my stress levels. Where I was 2 years ago compared to what happened with COVID, I would have been a wreck. But meditation, man, it helped immensely. Significantly more focused. Even though my dogs are barking their freaking heads off for the last 15 minutes at probably an Amazon delivery, I can focus on this and not go yell at them. Where in the past, I would for sure have yelled at them. I still might yell at them because they're still barking. I digress. And on that note, meditation has helped me be in more control of my own emotions, and hell, even being aware of my own emotions. So if in case you haven't noticed, I'm really into meditating and I can't recommend it enough. It's in Tim Ferriss's book, whether you love him or hate him, I don't care, Tools of Titans. He interviewed hundreds of these uber successful people. I gotta stop my dogs. I'm sorry, they're going crazy.
I love this. We're learning firsthand just that process of kind of minding this gap of saying, like, you know, we want to be this person who can, you know, live this one type of life and not yell at the dogs. And at the same time, like, you know, we have to go tell the dogs to just shut up when they're being noisy. So I really appreciate that you can talk about that kind of, you know, mindfulness aspect, and still like we can experience the real life and know that it's a journey and a challenge.
Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. Thank you all for your patience. Don't get groceries delivered when you're doing a live stream, I guess, huh?
Lessons.
First world problems, big time here. So back to Tim Ferriss again. Whether you like him or hate him, he wrote this book called Tools of Titans, and he interviewed hundreds of these really successful people in all different walks of life and industries. And he found a couple common trends. And one of them was 90% of them, 90-ish% of them did some kind of daily self-guided meditation. And if you start reading enough books and self-help guides and everything, they're usually mentioning some kind of meditation component to them. So I swear I'm not just making all this up. And the most important thing that I really wanted to stress, and I said it earlier, is that it is a practice. That some days when you meditate or you try to show up, you try to be mindful, it's better than other days. But what really matters is that you show up and you try to do a little bit every day. And it builds in ways I could never have fathomed. Again, sounds a little kitschy or whatever, but man, it's so true. Okay, with all this, there's more I want to discuss, but in the meantime, I want us to try a semi-guided meditation together right now on Facebook. Whether any of you are listening to me or not, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway because I like it. It's going to be fun. So here's how this works. For this particular style of meditation, this is how I meditate most mornings. We're going to have you don't have to do it just yet. I'm just going to go through all the instructions and then we'll do it together at the very end. So you're going to close your eyes and you're going to close your mouth. You're going to breathe through your nose the whole time. No mouth breathing, okay? And if you're not really sure what to do with your tongue, you can press it lightly on the roof of your mouth. So your eyes are closed, you're breathing through your nose, your tongue's on the roof of your mouth, and now get comfortable. I like to sit legs crossed on the floor, and they call it kind of like in an upright, alert position. So kind of like I like to have my back straight and kind of my spine in line with my head and all that. Whatever you're most comfortable with, it doesn't really matter. It's up to you. And the most important piece of meditating, I feel, is setting your intention. This is essentially what you're going to focus your mind on while you're meditating. For this particular example, we're going to focus on the air going in and out of our nose. So it might seem kind of funny, but when your eyes are closed, I'm focusing on air going in my nostrils and kind of down my sinuses and out. You can go as far down you want or as little as you want. It's your call, but as long as you're focusing on air going in and out of your nose, that's going to be our intention for this meditation. And here's some of the bones to it. Every time you breathe in, you're going to breathe normally, okay? Try not to force your breaths. Just try to let your body breathe how it normally would. That's sometimes difficult, but do your best is to let your body do its thing. So I'm over-exaggerating for the sake of showing you what we're going to do. Don't breathe like I'm about to do. But when you breathe in, count in your head 1. And when you breathe out, count in your head 1. In your head, in your head, in your head. You're not saying anything. Your mouth's still closed the whole time. But the whole time while you're counting, focus on the air going in your nose and out your nose. And on the next breath you have, count in your head 2. And when you breathe out, count in your head 2. And we're going to do this for 5 breaths. So in and out, 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 you're done. Okay? But again, while you're counting in your head and breathing, continue to focus on the air going in and the air going out. And as the whole secret sauce, the whole thing about meditating is while you're doing this, you're going to have thoughts that come into your mind. And that's good because it means you're alive and you're human. Otherwise, I don't know what you would be. Maybe my dog. I don't know. You could ask them. The important thing to note about when a thought comes into your mind and you're focusing on your breathing and your counting and all this is don't just acknowledge that the thought is there and go back to focusing on your breath, which in turn eventually will push your thought out of your consciousness because your breathing is your intention. Do your best to not cling to those thoughts and bring them back, or do your best to not try to unearth old thoughts and hunt for old memories and things while you're doing this as best as possible. And again, go back to focusing on your breathing at all times and let those thoughts float away like clouds. Okay, so here we go. We're going to try it live right now. When the bell goes off, close your eyes, breathe out your nose, and I'm going to do it for 5 breaths. At the end of 5 breaths, I'm going to ring the bell and we'll be done. If you're not quite done at that time, I'm sorry, but here we go. You guys ready? Here we are. Okay, that might be the most awkward 1 minute of no sound ever on Advent Member Talk. I'm happy to take that. So thank you. I hope you all tried this. Just to give you a bit of flavor of some ideas, you can do this up to the count of 10 and then start over and do that 5 times. So ultimately you're doing 50 breaths or 100 or 200. Depends how much time you have and how much time you want to dedicate to it. But that's kind of the basis of a lot of meditating that I do. And at the end of the day, all meditating is doing is training your mind to focus and not be distracted by those emails and those thoughts and those ideas and those feelings. And then you can ultimately be mindful and present in whatever you're trying to do today in this very given moment. It helps by focusing, for example, on your breath. When you're doing these and you're having these thoughts come into your mind, you're training your mind to essentially compartmentalize thoughts and feelings and emotions. You're not becoming stoic and you're not removing them and you're not ignoring them, but you're just setting them aside for later because you're focusing on something different right now. And this gives you the tools and the practice to actually achieve that. And just like muscle memory, when you're training for sports, your brain does actually become different. Like the muscles evolve and morph and transform. And there's studies that show that your brain physically changes by doing this in a positive way. All right. The last piece I want to end this talk on is a little bit of how I've gotten into meditating or what I do every day. So I would highly recommend getting yourself into a solid morning routine. You can own your morning simply by going to bed earlier. I know this sounds crazy and stupid, but the idea of waking up to an alarm clock and basically rushing and hurrying and going about your day, that translates into everything you do throughout the day. Whereas if you start the day off in control, in the way you want to start it off, it sets you up for a significantly more relaxed day. Man, it works. As long as your dog doesn't wake you up at 4:30 in the morning like mine decided to do because I had to go out. So I didn't get up as early today as I was hoping to, but it's a practice. It's okay. Here's what I do. First one, when I get out of bed, I drink a glass of water. Go online, read about it. It's not going to kill you. If anything, it's going to be good for you. It's too simple to skip. Second one, I do some kind of free form creativity. For me, I like to free write for 5 minutes about whatever's in my head. It's my therapy session. No one's allowed to read it. I rip up the paper, throw it away, done for the day. Third piece in the morning, I meditate. I currently sit down and meditate for 12 minutes each day on average. When I started about 2 years ago, I meditated for around 5 minutes. Folks who are really into meditating do at least 20 minutes at a time, if not longer. But it doesn't matter. It's whatever feels right for you. I have worked my way up to 12 minutes when I felt that 10 minutes wasn't long enough, 11 minutes wasn't long enough. I wanted more. I could go deeper if I had a little more time. And realistically, that my morning gave me enough time to do that. The fourth piece is doing some kind of exercise. I'm not saying go run a marathon, but I do a little bit of yoga every morning. It could be just as simple as doing a child's pose for 2 minutes. An ideal morning is going through a couple of vinyasa flows just to get moving, but I really have a long way to go with my yoga practice. It's pretty dismal, but I do have to say, since doing yoga every morning, I've been sleeping way better, and that's been the only major change I've made in my life in my morning routine, and it's helped a lot. Just stretching, and anyway, not about yoga. Sorry. On the last piece, number 5 for the morning routine of Kevin, is I try to learn a bit. I do my best to read about 10 to 20 minutes every morning, whether it's industry articles or I usually have 2 to 4 books going at any given time with different topics just to keep me entertained. So I try to make a little bit of dent in those every morning if I can. But typically this is the last thing on the list. So it's always the first thing to get sacrificed should time or family obligations make themselves known. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to end on this. The part of mindfulness is really finding a way to take joys in the simple tasks of life. I do Chemex coffee pour over every morning for my wife and myself. She gets regular coffee. I make decaf. I know. It's become a wonderful morning ritual that we actually really both enjoy together with ourselves and our daughter. Whereas before, And I enjoy every process. I time it, I weigh the beans, I grind them, I get the water heated up, I pour the water on over a 2-minute time period, it's brewed in 4 minutes, we have our coffee preheated. And so, it's like a whole chemistry set process that in a normal world, normal day in my old life, I would never have given any time to that. It's put the Keurig in the machine or run out the door and get some coffee on the way. But this morning ritual it's been wonderful. Like we both appreciate the process. The coffee's better. I have guaranteed time with all three of us in the kitchen. It's just been wonderful. And this is because we've just been mindful enough to take the time to enjoy that simple ritual. And it's become a staple in our lives that I would not have had otherwise. Okay, that is what I got. If you got anything from this conversation and me rambling for the last 20 minutes, try to meditate. It might change your life and it's free.
Sure. Thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate that information. It is so important for everyone to have that self-reflection, especially as an entrepreneur when you have so many things going on. And I really appreciate you being open to sharing about how kind of that business or that life that we're just trained to do, can really affect our personal life and just kind of the way that we want to build our own future. So thank you. And thank you for that meditation practice. I'm trying to imagine how I would breathe in for 50 counts. I don't, you said 50 to 100. So
it's a practice. It's okay.
Okay. I'll work on that. So there's a bit of delay for our folks watching on Facebook. So if anyone on Facebook has a question, please go ahead and share that in the comments. But we do have a few other questions here. So we'll see how many we can get through in the next few minutes. So let's see. What's the biggest difference you notice between days when you meditate and days when you don't meditate?
The days I don't meditate, I feel like I'm flailing. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but I just don't feel as in control of my day, and that something is just a little bit off. And it could be all in my head. I just feel significantly more grounded and calmer after I've meditated and feel like I can take the day on. Like today, for example, I didn't meditate in the morning because we had to sleep longer because we were up earlier because of the dog and our kid and all this shit. But I meditated around 9:30 and it was okay. And I started on my day and it felt great. So.
Nice. Do you usually meditate by yourself? Do you have like a group that you meditate with, or?
I do by myself. Although I did just get my wife getting up at the same time with me and she meditates, but she's in the bedroom and I'm in the next room over.
Okay.
so we're kind of doing it together, but not really.
Yeah. No, I love that you have your whole kind of home and important folks involved in that process with you. I think that's something that, can be really helpful to have that support of your loved ones and doing those activities together. So that's really great. I love the morning time in the kitchen as a family. Yeah. So, you mentioned that you read this book and it was kind of an inspiration for you. Would you mind saying the name of the book again?
Sure. This one. Manage your day to day, build your routine, find your focus, and sharpen your creative mind. It's like 99U. It literally is like $5 on Amazon. And it's old now, but a lot of the things still apply today. It's an easy read. It's like broken up into little chapters that are all very unique by different authors. It's awesome.
Nice. We'll have to add it to our book club reading list perhaps in the new year.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. When you read the book, were you thinking like, I have an issue and I need to find a different way to go about life? Or was it kind of a surprise of like, oh, I didn't realize that these were things I could do to kind of make improvements or make changes?
Ooh, it was a combination. I knew the path I was on was leading to a lot of stress, and I don't think my marriage would have survived and or anything else, frankly. And it didn't. I'm making it sound very dire. I wasn't that conscious that it was that dire, but something didn't quite feel right. And I'm also an active learner, so I was just trying to see what else potentially could help. And this, I don't remember. I wish I remember who recommended this to me. So it definitely blindsided me though with some of the ideas. Nothing was like revolutionary, but just having someone tell you that, here's how you get your inbox to zero every day and how to actually manage that was really nice, because I never thought about it. Or setting boundaries as to when you look at things, and having the self-control to do that was non-existent before.
Yeah, absolutely. And has your, has your process of self-reflection and, I think you said in progress or, always growing, like, how has that affected, your business or the way that you do business?
It's allowed me to see bigger picture significantly more easily. Um, don't get me wrong, you all have helped that as well. I mean, our team at Advent is amazing, whereas before it was just me running the show, trying to survive and do all the crazy stuff that you guys do every day. You guys do it so much better. But it's helped a lot more. It helped me focus significantly on goals, bigger picture projects, helping be a better leader and manager, and being more empathetic, which is an ongoing learning for me. But even the fact I'm aware that I'm not that empathetic is a step in the right direction. And I have ways to get better about that. Emotional intelligence is something that you can train and improve always, which is also reassuring. And stress, big time. The biggest thing why I, over time, finally got my wife to start meditating was she was really stressed. I shouldn't say this, but whatever. There was a lot of stress in my household from some members who I'm really deeply intertwined with. And meditating has helped a lot. It's just, I can't describe it. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, when I had some pretty catastrophic events occur to me while at Advent 2 years ago for business stuff. I mean, I was up all night, couldn't sleep for many times. And this year has been really difficult. COVID, we've been through a lot together. I for sure would have been way worse off than I was 2 years ago if I wasn't meditating. And I was able to sleep and like know it was a problem, know we were dealing with it, but not have it essentially affect my sleep, which was, saying it now sounds kind of crazy, but it's really true.
Oh, absolutely. And do you find yourself gravitating towards any like intentions repetitively? Or how do you go about setting those intentions?
Is it a positive intention? Like, do you have an example of the intention by any
Oh, no,
chance?
you mentioned setting an intention before you meditate.
During the meditations. Yes. I really like focusing on breath work because you're doing it all the time. Your body has to do it. So it's easy. It's like a constant thing that is there to help you get back on track. Sometimes I focus on like I call it like the white fuzz zone in my mind or like in my head space, which is sometimes harder. Or I like to focus on my lungs moving, I like to focus on my heartbeat. Sometimes I focus on my daughter. Focusing on things is a lot harder.
Mm, gotcha. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. And for everyone watching, quick plug here. Advent is celebrating our 5-year anniversary.
Woo!
So we are having a virtual party. And this is not just your regular Zoom call, y'all. This is like a whole like TV production. We have the Queen City Podcast Network. We have Ohavia Phillips. There's improv. There's, I don't know, trivia. We're going to get to ask Kevin more questions. So, even if you just want to see Kevin have to answer more questions live, you should definitely join us. It's going to be this Friday, same place, Facebook Live at 7:30. So we really hope that you'll join us for that. We're going to have a special cocktail, mocktail mix, all that good stuff. But thank you, Kevin, so much for giving today's member talk. And if folks want to get in touch with you, learn more about Advent, or just learn more about you and your work, what's the best way that they can do that?
The easiest is probably my email, which is just kevin@adventcoworking.com. Or,
Awesome.
I mean, if you want to talk on the phone or anything, just let me know or reach out and we'll give you our number and all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today. Advent Member Talks is a weekly event we put on every Tuesday at 4:30, Facebook Live, and each week features a different member on the topic of their choosing. So if you're an Advent member and you haven't presented yet, go to our YouTube channel, Advent Co-working Videos. You can watch all previous member talks, get some ideas, and I'm always happy to brainstorm with you. So thank you again, everyone, and hope you have a great evening.
Thanks, Sam.